But for those that don't know me, my name is Jess Cairns. I am one of 3 case managers at ISCA. So our role is to provide ongoing support to projects that are registered under our rating scheme and to help projects understand what they need to do to meet the requirements, basically. So today, I'm going to give a very brief overview of ISCA and the Ious rating scheme, but I'm going to talk a little bit about trends and what we're seeing within the industry and where we're going as an organisation. Right, so firstly, the importance of measuring infrastructure sustainability. So today we've heard a number of presentations about sustainability and implementing sustainable initiatives. At ISCA, we strive to facilitate a rating tool which allows industry to benchmark, measure and achieve the best sustainable outcomes in projects and assets. Measurement is absolutely key, and that is one of the biggest benefits that we provide by facilitating an actual trackable third-party rating scheme. All right, so very briefly, so ISCA stands for the Infrastructure Sustainability Council of Australia. We are a member-based and not-for-profit industry council. So there's a number of organisations here today that are members of us, and our primary mandate is to facilitate what we call the Ious rating scheme, so the Infrastructure Sustainability Rating Scheme. It's the only national rating scheme for infrastructure in Australia. It's quite similar to the Green Star tool for anybody that is familiar with that tool. The structure and the way it applies is reasonably similar, however it only applies to infrastructure. So everything from waste, roads, rail, utilities, open space and parks, anything that's got concrete and steel built in that's not a building pretty much sits under our scheme. So these are our member organisations. We cover Australia and New Zealand. We've been active in New Zealand for about 2.5 years, and have a number of large-scale projects over there. Most of our members fall into the contractor, consultancy and government space, but we do have other sort of peak bodies and industry bodies like the Supply Chain School. Right, so before I get into the actual Ious rating scheme, I just wanted to mention that we have a recent program that we have published called the iSupply program. So basically what that is a program where suppliers and organisations within the supply chain can register products and services under the scheme and be recognised for performance that aligns with certain credits. So I'm going to explain what a credit is in a moment, but basically the prerequisites for being part of the iSupply program is that you must be a member organisation of ISCA. You must have suitably qualified professionals within your organisation, so we facilitate training programs to help with that. We have a 2-day course that's a very comprehensive course on the scheme, but we'll also soon be running a training program specifically related to iSupply, so to help supply chains and suppliers go online and understand what you need to do to get recognised under our tool. And the third part, which is probably the most important part, is that you need to have a product or service that provides a sustainability outcome that can be aligned with a certain area under the tool. So for example, you might have a product that gives a significant energy savings, and that product or service might be applied to a rail project. So you can submit documentation to demonstrate to ISCA that your product does what you say it does. That will get verified by third-party independent verifiers, and then that product and your organisation will go on our website, and the rest of the supply chain and our members and our projects can go onto our website and see that your product and service is there and see which credit it aligns with and why it aligns with that credit. It is important to note that it applies to service provision as well as just products, so we are interested in professional services and consultancies as well and getting them involved as part of this. So to give you a bit of an overview of the Ious rating scheme, we classify sustainability in the following ways. So management and governance, using resources, emissions, pollution and waste, ecology and people and place. Underneath each of these categories here, we've got a series of credits that look like this. So each credit typically has a series of benchmarks, and each of those benchmarks are like performance indicators. They build on each other, so you'll go from level 1 being somewhere beyond business as usual, small amount of additional effort, up to level 3, which should equal world's best practice, global leading practice, or something like that. And each of these credits, so we've got 44 different credits. align with these categories, as I said. So you've got all different sort of criterion and performance indicators that sit under each of those categories there. If you would like to know more information about our credits, you can go onto the website, you can download the Ious scorecard, which is a freely available document. It's just a spreadsheet and it just lays out each of the categories and what each of the criterion are against the credits. So as suppliers, you can have a look and see where you might line up or where you think your service might meet a requirement under a credit, and then get in touch with us and we can help you out with that. So we also have rating levels. So how this works is that various projects and assets register with ISCA. They go through the rating process, which is a comprehensive third-party verified scheme, and they need to provide evidence and documentation to demonstrate that they've achieved the outcomes that align with the different credits under the tool. And then at the end of that, they get into one of these three kind of bands, right? So you've got commended rating, excellent rating, and leading rating. That is less relevant at a supplier level and more relevant at a sort of project and asset level. But supply chain can also get access to these badges through the projects that you work on as well. All right, so how are we driving better outcomes? But we have 92 projects and assets across Australia that are registered under our scheme. 60 projects and assets and 92 individual registrations. So that's just because we can have a single project register for more than one type of rating, which is why those numbers don't quite align. It's 80 billion in capital value and is spread out like this. So you will see in New South Wales, we have 21 active projects around the state with 10 projects that have completed the whole process. The high numbers within New South Wales, fairly recently Victoria and WA, has largely been driven by government agencies like Transport for New South Wales, Main Roads WA in West Australia, et cetera, could go on, that are mandating the use of the scheme with certain thresholds. So Jane mentioned earlier, Transport in the past has mandated the use of the scheme on anything over 50 million in capital value. We've seen similar thresholds around the country and New Zealand, and we are very quickly seeing significant uptake within smaller projects, less than 50 and less than 20 million as well. So just before I move on, as part of version 2 development work, so we're currently facilitating version 1.2, which is that list of categories that you saw earlier. As part of version 2, we went out and asked industry, well, why are you using the rating scheme? What sort of benefit do you see in applying the Ious rating scheme on your projects? And you could see here, there's government consultants, contractors, and everybody else. So that's sort of not-for-profits and people that didn't want to put themselves in one of those 4 bundles. We had over 90 respondents. I think it was about 98 respondents. And the most significant benefit or application that people are seeing is the benchmarking, which I personally found quite interesting. I would have thought it was going to be this one, which is, it's in the contract, so that's what we need to do. Again, it sort of comes back to that need to measure and the benefit that industry is starting to see in measuring performance and understanding how you as an industry, how you on a project or you in the government agency stack up against the rest of the state and the rest of the country, and how you can use the Ious rating scheme to understand where you sit today. So do you sit at level 1 in all of the different credits today, and what are the steps you need to undertake to get to level 2 or level 3? We've also been able to see, over time, the significant increase in the level of performance under the scheme. So this is 2016 here, which you can see the top end of the ratings are now sitting at about 70 points out of 100. 3 years ago, we were down at 40. So for us, that demonstrates again that increase in performance and what the rating scheme is able to achieve, and by industry learning and understanding what they need to do. Very quickly, to wrap up, because I know I'm short of time, to leave you with something to think about. Through the application of the Ious rating scheme, we've been able to see a clear correlation between management systems, having good policies, procedures and management plans, and overall sustainability performance. This data isn't possible without systems like the Ious rating scheme or like Green Star or GBCA schemes. What you will start to see in the coming year is additional components which look at resilience, measuring and monitoring costs and benefits, considering social licence and social impact, and finally, you will see social procurement, managing sustainability through the supply chain and managing sustainability through your workforce, becoming a key part of version 2 and a key part of the categories and credits and performance that we'll be seeing and measuring under the Ious rating scheme. That's it. Thank you.